I bet you're wondering, why the jazz hands? I got a request to do a video this week from Marco, and he wanted to know the difference between a whole bunch of different dance styles once I finally did a dancing video. Well, guess what? Dancing video time! Today I'm going to talk just a little bit about swing dancing and what I know about it. Jazz hands! I've only been swing dancing for about 3 years, so I actually don't know everything there is to know about it. Crazy, right? Before we get into things, I'm going to do a little bit of really quick stuff on how I got into swing dancing. I had this friend a few years ago. He was trying to convince me to join this swing dance club that he was a part of. And at the time, I was really busy with fencing and stuff, and I wasn't really sure if it was what I wanted to do. So I just kind of blew him off a lot. Finally, one day I decided I'm gonna try swing dancing. So I found out about when and where it was, and promptly sprained my ankle. Years and years and lots of time in trying to convince me to come try this thing. I finally decided to try this thing. Now I can barely walk, let alone dance. Fast forward a few months later, and I am ready to go again. Here's an embarrassing little fact about me and my swing dancing. I can honestly say my love for swing dancing started with my love for Captain America. Oh yeah. That is definitely a thing. That hoodie, that whole thing, that's real. So what happened with the whole Captain America thing was that I really, at the time, loved Captain America. I honestly can't remember why I started loving Captain America over Thor, but it just kind of happened. So at the time, I loved Captain America. I still do. Fast forward a few months after my ankle had been sprained, and I was writing a paper on flappers for one of my history classes. Flappers are the girls who in the 1920s wore those really cool fringe dresses or sequin dresses, and they did the Charleston. They were all cool, yada-da. And it got my mind going back to a favorite movie of mine, Chicago, with Richard Gere, Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's about a lady who kills her lover and then tries to not get hung for it in the 1930s in Chicago. So I figured, hey, why not do some research, procrastinate, and watch this movie? So, start watching the movie, start listening to the music, start thinking of the music, and all of a sudden, in my head, whoa, Captain America would have done something like this. That led me to thinking, whoa, Captain America might be familiar with swing dancing. One thing led to another. I contacted my friend Brady, who was in the U of S swing dance club, and I arranged to go try swing dancing, and I've loved it ever since. So there you have it. I started swing dancing because of this guy. Well, that was an embarrassing story that I could have avoided through editing, but I didn't. I've already mentioned a couple different types of dancing that I do, but I'm gonna go back through those and I'm gonna talk about them a little bit more in detail, a little more in depth, and try to honor Marco's lovely request. Thank you. So Lindy Hop is kind of a blanket term that covers a whole bunch of different types of dancing. You have the Charleston, you have the jive, you have blues, I think you have Balboa. So with Charleston, there's actually differences between two different types of Charleston. Actually, kind of three. You have 20s Charleston, which looks kind of like this. You have 30s Charleston, which looks kind of like this. And then if you want to get really funky, you have tandem Charleston, which looks kind of like this. Now the difference between 20s and 30s Charleston is mainly how it's done and how it's incorporated and still used today. 20s Charleston, you have a lot of the... Oh, can I do this? A lot of, yeah, the feet, kind of the legs going in and out of each other. 20s Charleston got its name because it started in, guess what, the 20s. Interesting little fact about the Charleston that I found really, really awesome. Back in the day, in the 20s, when the Charleston was first starting to come out, it was hated by so many people. Mostly because people were really worried about the morality of men and women dancing with their legs going in and out between each other's legs. They thought that was a really bad thing, and they were freaking out over it. In 20s Charleston, the biggest thing is how there's frame. So it's supposed to be rigid if you do it right. So you have a really rigid frame and body, and then it's all very high up, and your legs are going in and out, and there's variations on how you can do that, but your basic steps are just the in, out, that sort of thing. 30s Charleston, again, if you noticed, instead of being upright like the 20s and facing each other, it's actually more side to side, and it's a little more hunched over. Our knees are bent a lot more in this. They're still kind of kicking, only instead of going in and out and between our partner's legs, it's now going forwards and backwards and to the side. And then you have swing dancing or jive dancing. It's characterized by kind of a swingish music. You can hear it in the beat. It kind of swings. You get the swing dancing or jive dancing is kind of just, it's what we teach everyone. Now, there is, I guess, a difference between swing and lindy hop, and it's very, very subtle. The one thing that really characterizes lindy hop and makes it what it is the move called the swing out. The swing out kind of makes lindy hop what it is, and it makes it super, super fancy, and that's kind of, that's how it is! So if we're talking about a time frame here, we've got 20s Charleston, then 30s Charleston, then like lindy hop / swing coming right after in the 40s, and then you start kind of getting closer to jive as you go closer to the 50s. That was kind of their thing, and it's lame. Lindy hop for the win. The one thing you see a lot of people who either do lindy hop or swing or whatever you want to call it, all that jazz. Did you catch the joke? They usually combine what they're doing. So they take bits from 20s Charleston, maybe a little bit from 30s Charleston. They stuff it all together into one big thing. Bits of colored Play-Doh and you kind of mash them together, and like you'll still get Play-Doh spaghetti, but it's just going to be a bunch of crazy different colors. So that's a little bit about kind of what I do and the differences between the ones I know how to do. But I don't really do a lot of the workshops, so unfortunately I don't really know much else. So that's kind of a little bit of info on dancing and why I started dancing and what kind of dancing I do. Huge shout out to my friend Brady who helped me film all the dance stuff. Brady, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave any suggestions for future videos or questions you may have for me down in the comments section. Right there. Right. You see it? It's down there. Scroll down a little bit. Next weekend I'm going to a Canada Cup. So that's like a really big fencing tournament, and I am so jazzed. Did you catch the pun? Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week. Jazz hands!